Welcome back. It's Thursday, February 2nd in the NBA. My four favorite picks are on the way. Let's recap yesterday, a 2-2 day, losing a little bit of juice. Mr. Markkanen gets his job done. DeAndre Hunter barely goes over, and Kyrie's involved in a blowout. And then Anthony Edwards and D'Lo got their points. D'Lo only ends with 2 assists while we needed 4. Now, day one of our ladder challenge failed, and instead of kind of running that back, we're just going to add some bankroll builders to the video. So we'll have a bankroll builder or two at the end of this one, and we'll track those towards our record. Because at the end of the day, we were crushing the ladder challenge. We just couldn't string together 10 straight winning days, which is very statistically improbable, but we're like 13-4 on these builders. So we're going to build up that bankroll using those. You'll see that a little bit later on in the video. If you are new, welcome to the channel. Thanks for showing out here for this Thursday. If you want to go down below, hit that subscribe button. We do these videos every single morning. We have some exciting news coming out in the pipeline. You'll hear about that in a couple weeks, but without further ado, hit that subscribe button, drop a like too. I appreciate you for watching this video. Let's dive into our favorite plays. Nothing to promote. Let's go with this first one. A guy that's going Madison Square Garden. It's Mr. Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. I like his over 33.5 PRAs, minus 105 on DraftKings. PRAs, points, rebounds, assists. If you need an alternate line, you're like, Austin, I can only bet one. Points is the way I'd go, then rebounds. I think he has a good day on both of those. Now, you can play this at 34.5. Honestly, FanDuel had 32.5 this morning, but I'm going to take the widely available line because I'm going to track with, what you guys are probably able to bet out there. And if you want to switch, if this line goes up too much, take his points plus rebounds. I don't really anticipate Adebayo getting, 10 assists tonight. And if he does, that's great, but don't anticipate that today. Now, Bam has entered this game going under in 3 straight, actually. He's had 33, 27, and 30 PRA. So it's not like he's been an absolute scrub, but been going under. So naturally, the books saw him go under, and they said, all right, fine, we'll raise your line. And so I think Adebayo is going to be due for a big game. I think the books are expecting it. Now, Adebayo, prior to those 3 games going under, fairly consistent, hitting the over 9 of his last 12 prior to those 3 games. So I expect him to get back to that, and he's got the best matchup on the court for Miami. Now, if you know, Mitchell Robinson of the New York Knicks is out, so they've been leaning on Jericho Sims, who's just a foul waiting to happen, and then Isaiah Hartenstein, who's been decent, but still not the greatest defender. So I think those 2 guys are a big liability for the Knicks defense, who has good guards when we think about Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly off the bench, think about Trey McBride, RJ Barrett. All these guys are pretty good defenders. Jalen Brunson, not the best defender, but he can hold his own, and Julius Randle, pretty decent defender too. So we look at Adebayo, probably going to be the guy with the best matchup given he has Sims or Hartenstein on him. And Adebayo has also turned it up an extra notch in Madison Square Garden. I know people don't like the narrative of, players play bigger in Madison Square Garden. Well, it's true. You look at Bam Adebayo's last 6 games against this Knicks, 3 of them at home, 3 of them on the road in MSG. You'd see he turns it up an extra notch against the Knicks at the Knicks. Now, in those last 3 in Madison Square Garden, 36, 41, and 40 PRAs, hitting the over in all 3 of them. We know Adebayo coming into this year was a guy that you couldn't really count on to be consistent offensively, but this year really turned it up an extra notch. And after 2 off games, I really do expect Bam to step up here with his given his matchup. And also, it's no secret, Adebayo trying to become a second-time NBA All-Star. Now, actually, before this game, right before the game, they are going to announce the All-Star reserve. So if Bam gets snubbed, I bet you he comes in here, hears wind of that from his bench or from his coaching staff, and he probably plays better with a little extra motivation. And if he does become an All-Star, which I'd argue he probably deserves to be one, I think he might show up in front of the bright lights of New York. So I'll take his over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Would not be surprised if we see Bam score, 25 points today, chip in 10, 15 rebounds. I think he has a good day on the glass after a couple bad games. Give me Bam's over in PRAs. Now let's keep it moving to another center, although this center we're going to be fading and taking his under, and it's going to be Nikola Vucevic. I like his under 37.5 PRAs as well, minus 125 on DraftKings. You can play this at 36.5 if it goes down there. If it goes to 35.5, just avoid it. I imagine the books are going to adjust it really quickly after the video goes live. That's just how it works, but I think 36.5 is a pretty good line for the Chicago Bulls center. Now let's talk about why we're fading him, because if you remember, 2 days ago we actually tailed Mr. Vucevic. We were supporting him and he treated us nicely, but 37.5 too high for Vuce. I don't care if he's playing a middle school team. I don't care if he's playing me out there. It's just too high for Mr. Vucevic, and he's got especially with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan out there. And while FanDuel doesn't have a line right now, I imagine they post one pretty quickly by the time this video is live. And yes, people can look at this, the money glitch last year. He's got a matchup against the Hornets. It looks great on paper. You look at the Hornets, we were taking centers against them all year long last year, and it was cash in a large amount of time. And on the year, if you just look at yearly stats, you look, the Hornets have allowed the 3rd most points per game and most rebounds per game to centers. So you're like, Austin, this is a great matchup, but look, that's the year stats. The Hornets have really dialed it in on centers lately, and in fact, over the last 15 games, Hornets allowing just the 10th most points per game and 19th most rebounds per game to centers. A huge improvement. Mason Plumlee's been playing better. The other guards have been crashing and trying to limit those centers from absolutely destroying him. Well, Vooch could go off here. Sure, he could go out there and score 41 and 44 PRAs like he has the last 2 games. I'm just betting against him. I mean, he's had 2 straight games where he shot above 60% from the field. Now, Vooch, I watched him a lot with the Orlando Magic. look, he's just not a 60% shooter from the field. In fact, this year averaging just 52%. So would it surprise anyone if Vooch has a little bit of regression for his shot attempts, maybe a little bit of regression for the amount he makes? No, because that's just how the NBA works. Players are going to have good nights, players are going to have off nights. So I just look at Vooch under this line in 19 of his last 25 games. I think this is way too big of an overcorrection after 2 good games. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, what if they're down in this game? Sorry, Vooch, get back on defense. We're not passing it to you. And look, he's actually struggled for Chicago or for Charlotte in the last 3 games, 2 of them being this year. His last 3 against them, 14, 30, and 22 PRAs. So he's not even getting close to the line. The 22 came just a couple weeks back. And so I look at the end of the day with Zach LaVine out there, DeMar DeRozan out there too. I'm fine fading Vooch. I can sleep at night knowing, hey, I took Vucevic under 37.5 PRAs. That's a super high line. We think about a guy like Nikola Jokic, normally gets a line in like the 48.5 to 51.5. Vooch is only about 10 to 12 below that, and Vooch isn't normally a guy that's could chip in 12 assists on any given night, or a guy that could go out there and drop 30 points any given night. It's normally not the case. So I'm going to take Vucevic, take his under 37.5 PRAs. I know a lot of people don't like unders, but look, if Vooch wants to cook us, fine, but I'll take his under 37.5 every single night, and I bet you'd be more profitable than taking the over. Now let's move on to 2 bankroll builders. I appreciate you for coming out to this video, and we got 2 bankroll builders. These are some same game parlays that I really do like, and you'll recognize some of these legs from our time doing the ladder challenge. We'll start with this first one, and as always, I'm going to track these for 1 unit, just like the above plays. 1 unit is about a 1 to 2% of your bankroll. So if you're like in a $1,000 bankroll in your budget, you should probably bet in like $10 to $20 on each play. I'd suggest doing the same for these next 2, and it's going to be the Allen and Mobley same game parlay, the 2 Cavs big men. I like them both to do the same thing. Both get 10 plus points, 6 plus rebounds. That's what we're relying on. Now, if you're like Austin, I'm on DraftKings, I don't have 6 plus, I have 7 plus. That's fine too. Take the 7 plus. Both these 2, I'll give you the stats for it in a little bit. Love both these 2 guys. We've been taking them. They've treated us really nicely on the ladder challenge show. Figured I'd bring them back. This is plus 110 on FanDuel. Yeah, you count me in. Now, the Cavaliers are at home taking on the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are notoriously a pretty good team against opposing centers, but Steven Adams is out. This team has liability in the paint with Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson Jr., and they're also coming off a back-to-back, so who knows exactly who plays. Now, look, these 2 teams just played a couple weeks back. You saw Jared Allen, 14 points and 8 rebounds, getting his job done. Evan Mobley, 18 points and 15 rebounds. Now, I imagine the rebounds are a little bit, they can be kind of hard to predict, but both these 2 guys should get 6 rebounds. They average like 8.5 and 10 something on the year. I think they can both get 6. And you look at while Donovan Mitchell was out that game, I still think they're going to get the dishes from their point guard Darius Garland. Spida's a good defender or a good passer as well. So at the end of the day, I think they both need 10 plus points. Jared Allen's probably the one I'm more skeptical of the 10 plus points, but he's done it in 20 of his last 25 and 12 of his last 13. So he's been fairly consistent. As for Jared Allen in the rebounds, hit 6 plus rebounds in 24 of his last 25 and 7 plus in 22 of his last 25. So if he's getting 6, usually get 7 for the people out there that can only take a 7 plus rebound line. And as for Mr. Mobley, he's been pretty good too. 10 plus points in 22 of his last 25 and 6 plus rebounds, as we know, in 24 of his last 25, 7 plus in 23 of 25. So these 2 guys have been really filling up the stat sheet. They're going to play a lot of minutes, 30 to 35 minutes, depending on how close this game is, and they can easily get luck into 10 points. They get high percentage looks. It's not like to rely on them to knock down jump shots. They're going to be at the rim, dunking on people, or just putting an easy lay-in, put back, stuff like that. So I really am confident both of these 2 guys can get 10 plus points. That should be pretty easy for both of them, unless Donovan Mitchell's dropping 71 again, then might as well get back on defense, fellas. But at the end of the day, both these 2 guys, 10 points, easy. 6 plus rebounds, have been doing that pretty consistently. I'll take a chance at it, plus 110. Yeah, I'm going to take it, and if this hits, there's a pretty good chance you see it in the next couple Cavaliers games, because I think it's a really good one, really great value for 2 guys that are going to play their minutes, going to get a couple shot attempts here and there, and are going to shoot pretty high percentage looks. Now, my fourth, actually, and final play will be another bankroll builder. Given the slate, I didn't really love any straights, but I do like these 2 bankroll builders as something that can really improve our bank accounts and just keep moving up our account number up and up and up. And this will be my second one. It will be a Bucks and Clippers same game parlay. The second game, I believe, on TNT. It's going to feature a lot of legs you've already seen before. Really, if you're either in the ladder challenge or in these videos, because you'll understand. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 25 plus points. Kawhi Leonard, 20 plus points. And then Drew Holiday, 15 plus points and 4 assists. Now, this is minus 108 on FanDuel. If you want to add a couple legs to try to get it to plus value, you can go with like a Paul George, 15 or more points. He should easily get that done. Drew Holiday to get 1 3-pointer. He's going to probably have to get that done to score 15. And then obviously Giannis, 10 plus revs is not a bad leg as well. And for the DraftKings people out there, 16 plus points for Drew is cool too. Now, Now let's talk about Drew Holiday first, bottom to top. Now Drew, he's coming off a bad shooting game, 6 for 20 from the field. I suggested to take his under in that game in our underdog parlay. That naturally cashed. And you look at the assists, they weren't there, only 3 assists, did have 15 assist chances. So I imagine the assists are going to be back here. And he scored 15 or more in 11 of his last 12 and had 4+ assists in 11 of his last 13. So normally pretty consistent, getting 15 points. While he doesn't always get the 19.5 he needs to hit his regular over, he does normally get to the 15 to 17 mark, and then we'll see if he feels like going over at the end of the game. That's just how it works. And then 4+ assists, he's normally pretty consistent for that. And in his last 2 versus LAC, the Clippers, 24 points, 7 assists, 27 points, and 13 assists. So easily clearing both lines, we'll take that. Let's talk about Giannis, the Greek Freak. Since his return, 29+ points in 5 straight games, he scored 33+ in 4 straight. So he's been really, really consistent. I think he can easily get 25. They're on TNT at home. He scores much better there. The Clippers don't really have an answer for him. If he's driving to the rim, they really don't have any size down there to stop him. So he should easily get that done. He scored 25 or more in 8 straight versus the Clippers. Now let's talk about Kawhi Leonard, a guy that was always a staple for our ladder challenge, someone that's always really consistent because he scored 20+ points in 11 straight games. Last 2 against Milwaukee, 25 and 23. So yeah, if you look back in his last 10 against Milwaukee, he's had some games going under there, games that he didn't play a ton of minutes. But I look at the spread only being 4.5. I'd argue Milwaukee probably should be bigger favorites in this one, but the Clippers are still, they're no slouch here, and the Clippers are going to play enough minutes. Kawhi Leonard, they could put Drew Holiday on him, but at the end of the day, Kawhi Leonard gets to his spots and knocks down his shots, and he's much taller than Drew Holiday. So I think all these 3 guys, 4 legs, getting close to plus value. Sure, I'll take a shot at it. We'll see how these bankroll builders do, and hopefully we can start cashing them because we were doing really good on the ladder challenge. Just we couldn't string together 10 winning days, which, like I said, pretty hard to do. So hopefully you like the bankroll builders. A little bit of a segue from away from the ladder challenge. We're still kind of involving it because we had been doing so well with them. So we'll try to do 1 a day. If there's a limited slate and I like 2, I'll do 2 and maybe 2 other plays because I want to involve everyone, get you all taking some prize picks because I know some people on PrizePicks, the Bovadas, the underdogs of the world can't take the bankroll builders, but you can at least use the knowledge to your advantage. So those are my 4 favorite plays. Appreciate you guys for coming out here. And look, let's have a great day. I'll see you guys back tomorrow with the brooms out, hopefully for a 4-0 day. And I'll see you guys then. Peace out.